10 is it's still really fun. You know, the graphics look amazing, top rated blockchain games over the past couple of years, the terrain, all of it. So hopefully, you know, they'll be getting into beta, you know, release within the next year, and then to an official release within the next year or two. I don't know if any of you guys have checked it out at all or have any comments on it, but
I have,
yeah, definitely quite enjoyable.
I've gotten it installed on my machine right now. I can't wait to dive in. It's already been loaded up and whatnot. I noticed they have two login styles. They have the blockchain login and then they have the regular login. Could you quite possibly elaborate on the differences right now, currently?
I haven't done anything with the regular login. As far as I know, you start up the game and you go to blockchain login where you sign in with your engine account, and then you connect the wallet, you know, with the QR code to the game. So that way any assets that you earn in game, you know, blockchain assets, non-fungible tokens, will automatically go to your engine wallet. Meanwhile, since it is an alpha, your progress of the player is going to eventually get reset purposes as it moves on to beta, and then, you know, obviously reset again for the full release, just so that way when the game comes out, there's not people already max leveled and they have everything unlocked and all that. But any, you know, blockchain assets that you earn, which there are assets, none that I found so far, but ones that you can find in the higher level, you know, areas of the game so far, that will go to your wallet and will stay there permanently, that you can, you know, trade or sell or you know, collect up and whatever for once. Meanwhile, since it is an alpha, you know, the official release player is going to eventually get so that way you can still use, you know, for testing purposes. But I haven't done anything with the regular login. That would just be if you want to go in and test it, just so that way when the game comes out, there's not, you know, everything's max level reset. You just want to do it for testing all the bugs, checking out the game, and whatnot. You know, blockchain assets, I would recommend if you're going to go and play it, especially since it is on the blockchain, to use your engine account and sign in so you can collect those crypto assets.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I'm looking forward to playing it and, you know, watching the team pretty much birth this project. You know, honestly, great things forthcoming to Ethereum
that would just
and for Ethereum side chains in the gaming space.
You know, everything's gonna get reset. You just want to do it.
In other news, let's go ahead and touch base on what Stadia announced today, which I think is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, so
they. Oh no, proceed, Jerome. Might as well, since I know you love Stadia so much.
I sure do, and man, I was excited to talk about this one with you guys today. So with Stadia, quiet. Do you guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear. Nice.
Fuck's sake.
Oh, with Stadia,
that's what I'm feeling the circle with, bro.
Games,
that's sick.
Knew about the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which looks pretty clean. Pretty excited about that. But we got an update from Ubisoft for Far Cry 6.
So guys, sorry, I've been chatting with my designer that's working on my NFT for
just a video.
Yeah.
You know,
wow, I can.
But even with that, I'm excited to check that out. We got to see Serious Sam 4, which that game has some, you know, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, man.
They're going to be able to.
So this is the game plan, right? I got this epic music project that's signed with Clockwork Records, and the banner is going to be a crypto note, an actual, like, it looks like $1. It's not $1. It's super cybernetic, kind of like cyberpunky. It's fucking epic. And there's a QR code embedded on it, and the QR code is going to be an NFT that people can scan on shows. As soon as they scan it, they get instant VIP access, regardless of which. So everywhere I go, if you got that code, you can scan it and get into VIP. Quite possibly greet me. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a loyalty program for super fans.
With the new app Prada,
I got like, yeah, man. I got an agent and also a booking manager as well. That's going to be handling logistics of it. But I'm going to be doing the API and smart contract deployment.
Link for my game and be able to send
Yes, it is. What's up, Annalise?
You could be able to click on that link and join my game.
Yeah, figures. That's pretty cool. It is that season.
I share the state of my game where you can be able to help beat this level for me? Or
Yeah, I just sent you a link to JR Rome.
But
I'm live right now.
Send you a link and have you just directly join me from a link in a
on
browser.
YouTube.
Like, that's mind-boggling. If you told me that I'd be able to do that
over Discord.
I thought you were
Dude.
crazy.
Yeah.
Nah, man, that's the power of JavaScript and the reason why Flash is so obsolete. Hey, so they also announced a couple other titles, Super Bomberman R online, the Outcasters, and Splash Damage. Not to mention,
All right, yeah, man. Sorry about that. I was setting it up
3,
with the team.
Sekiro, which is a really good RPG.
Before we go
Shadows
live.
Die Twice.
Well,
It's
technically,
pretty
I'm
much
live
a
right
cult
now.
classic nowadays. And a couple
But
other
before, like, we
exclusives,
actually,
man.
like, get to the
seriously,
ball,
it's like I'd say Google is making some serious strides in the streaming gaming space, and we shall see what comes of it and
I had a
how.
long debate with one of my friends yesterday who really thinks that they should be getting more exclusives. What do you think about their exclusives lineup?
That's
I
what
think for the
happened.
most part that they're just doing what they can right now to secure capital in the space. The shares of streaming content, because there's a lot of people that can't afford consoles right about now, and this is the perfect solution, really. So they're just doing whatever they can to embolden developers to create exclusives, and also make sure that it's great for the platform. It plays well on the platform. So honestly, they don't have any blockbuster titles. They didn't procure like
So you're doing this all
Bungie
on
Studios
banner right
with
now.
like
What
Halo,
about,
for instance, or like Gears of War
Can you, like,
to be
take that
based
off
on
and just, like, put
Stadia
it back on where it
exclusively.
was
Like they don't have any like
What, on
huge
this file?
like
Yeah,
titles
Oh, yeah, of
that
course,
are
bro.
absolutely phenomenal
Okay,
that
just wondering.
pretty much everybody's
Yeah,
childhood
man. Good, bro.
sort of resonates with. But they are making strides. They are doing the best that they can with the tools that they have. So yeah,
Definitely select this. Group that. Make a copy.
Yeah, no, I was just
That's
saying, I'm
awesome, man.
excited.
Yeah, it's freaking epic. Hey, so Annalise, do you want to talk about the meteoric rise of Chainlink in these past couple of weeks? It's been up like 80% overall in the past week.
Yeah, I've been actually investing a little bit into Chainlink as it's been going up. Right now, people are saying that's basically the Tesla of crypto, which I think is kind of funny. Because if you guys know where Tesla is at now, I think it's over $1,200 just about. Like Tesla was flying this year, absolutely flying. So as a company, it's a very promising company, and it has lots of sustainability behind it as a whole. So I feel like investors have because they've continuously shown that they are reliable. I think that people are actually taking it more seriously. It's altcoin season. Like people have been saying, it's altcoin season. Overall, all of the altcoins are up. Bitcoin hasn't been up too much. It's up about I think 14% today, or like 0.14, I think it was, or 0.41, something like that. It's overall it's lower than what the altcoins have been running, and it's actually down for the month. I believe I'm pretty sure it was up at like 9,400, 500, almost up to $10,000 mark. Again this month, but it's all the way down at 9.2. So a lot of promising gains. All of the altcoins are up right now. Bitcoin hasn't been up correlation with I think Chainlink would be today, or Chain. They have about a 93% something like that correlation rate. So if you guys are looking for any assets that might correlate what the altcoins have been running, Chainlink, it's actually down. What was it? Cardano and VeChain are pretty sure it was up at like correlate closest to it when it comes to tech and just overall price movement. Again this month, but it's all the way down at
That's a bold statement, I guess.
A lot of promising. Well, it's true. If you look at the charts and you compare them, well, Cardano isn't the same thing as Chainlink. VeChain is closer to Chainlink. They have about a 93%. But when it comes to chart and correlation, if you guys are looking for any assets that might correlate with Chainlink.
I don't believe in
what
Cardano's
was it?
price
Cardano
discovery at all,
and
but
VeChain,
that's
the
a
ones
debate
that
for another day.
correlate closest
In
to
case
it when it
Phoenix
comes
is not
to
aware of what Chainlink
tech
is,
and just
it
overall
is technically
price
just a
movement.
JSON
That's a
parser
bold
with its
statement,
own
I guess,
mainnet
Annalise.
designed to connect JavaScript-based
Well,
applications
true.
to
If you look
solidity.
at
It's a
the
bridge
charts
from
and you compare
the
them,
traditional
yeah, well,
IT
Cardano
sector
isn't
into
the same thing as
solidity
you know
not.
Chainlink.
or
VeChain is
decentralized
closer to Chainlink.
applications from
But like
centralized
when it comes
data
to like
access
chart and correlation,
nodes
they are actually
or
the two
endpoints.
closest assets
So yes,
to
it is pretty much being used
Chainlink
by
games.
major corporations all around the globe, including central banks. So yes, that's the main reason why there's a ton of hoopla and a lot
Ton
of
of
driving
hoopla.
monetary action. Yep. Another coin that's been causing a lot of hoopla is Dogecoin within TikTok, but I'd rather not elaborate on that. A little bit of a pump and dump. When it
Dogecoin
comes
had
down to
dumps.
it,
It was up about like it was like at 4, you know,
Uh-huh.
0.004 whatever, and then it had gone down
Mhm.
to like 0.003, you know, whatever. It's a pump and dump. It you know Doge doesn't have anything that's really backing it, or you know a real project. It's a meme coin. So you know it's just one of those things that it's kind of just there for the most part.
Exactly.
It's and it's really funny because I don't know if you saw the video of the kid on
Another coin
TikTok
that's
saying
been
like,
causing a lot
listen,
of
you don't have
hoopla
to know
is
what this is.
Dogecoin
Just,
within
you
TikTok.
know, everybody take
but,
$25
I'd rather not
and we'll all
elaborate
be
on
rich.
that. A
And
little
I thought
bit
that
of
was
a
like the
pump and
funniest
dump.
thing because I mean
When it comes down to it,
Dogecoin had
I-
dumps. It was
Doge was
about
pumping,
like, you know,
it was like
people
at
were actually
Uh-huh.
taking the money and just, you know,
0.004
throwing it in
whatever,
there, and then and they, you know, didn't even know what it was. And I was just like, oh, is that how we explain it to millennials? They're here for the money, so
yeah,
just
well,
take your money and throw it
'cause
in.
yeah, that's the reason why I didn't want to touch
Not the
base on
millennials.
that.
I'm sorry, the
actually.
Gen Zs.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say I'm Gen Z, so like honestly, I'm not for sure. It's all about due diligence. But the fact of the matter is that cryptocurrency is programmable currency, and nobody's actually programming on Doge. It's actually obsolete. I'm pretty sure it could be 1% attacked any day now. So
course.
yeah. Anyway, so let's elaborate on the concept of these correlations that you mentioned. Like VeChain, for instance, I'm not sure like how they're tied into the Chainlink's mainnet, but I'm sure that HBAR Chainlink's mainnet, which is one of the DAGs that I'm really excited for. It's a quantum encrypted DAG, and it's powered by Chainlink. And for some strange reason, it's not actually moving in price. It's still staying stagnant. And this is like, honestly, I'm not for sure. Ran by major corporations. It's all about T-Mobile, but the fact of the matter is, cryptocurrency is the big Fortune 500 boys, and nobody's. I'm surprised that they haven't been seeing much price. It's actually obsolete on their assets. I'm pretty sure it could be. What do you think that's about any day now? So this is the third gen DAG. Like, this is a let's elaborate like on 10,000 transactions per second. The concept of these correlations that you mentioned.
You know, that's a good question.
Like
you're right. It has
I'm not
stayed
sure
pretty, you know,
like,
stagnant. It
how
bounce between, you know, close. There's not much price movement. I mean, it could be stability, which is not bad either. Stability is a good thing, and or there may be I guess a huge up movement soon or down, depending on you know. Usually when like things consolidate and they consolidate in price, it either shoots up or shoots down. If they have been remaining stagnant and they continue to you know, prove their validity, and you know, if stakeholders and investors continue to see you know, profit in the project, of course, then at that point in time, I feel like it'll form a flag or pennant and it'll shoot up. So I don't know. I don't think something remaining or consolidating or remaining stagnant, it necessarily means it's a bad thing, or it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. It just means that the asset is proven its value if they have and it's not remaining overvalued or undervalued. It's remaining you know, at their validity, a steady rate. You know, it does stakeholders, you know, and value. Investors continue to see you know, profit in the project, of course. Then at that point in time, I feel like it's not a bad thing. I think that as long as it stays and it'll shoot up, you know, within a certain range. I don't know. proves that it's worth its value. Something remaining, like you know what I mean, consolidating or remaining stagnant.
I get what you mean.
Means
Hey, so
you know,
Chainlink recently surpassed Binance Coin and Litecoin at the same time in capitalization.
Overvalued or
because its market cap surging like past $7. And a lot of people are speculating that this is due to DeFi. People are staking a lot of Chainlink and a lot of Tezos right now, currently, with like Avwa and Coinbase, etc. You know, so do you think that this is the beginning of a new bubble?
I don't. A bubble. Perhaps
$7.
Maybe.
A lot of people are speculating that this is due to DeFi. People are staking a lot of Chainlink and a lot of Tezos.
It's a bubble. I mean, we hear that all the time.
With like
you know, tech and technology is here to stay, so I don't think it's particular bubble.
You know, so,
do I think that?
Do you think that this is the beginning of a new bubble?
It's going up too rapidly, and there may be a price correction soon. Perhaps. Chainlink had went down. I think it was like 10% yesterday, but it shot up all the way to, I think it's like at $8.04 mark. I see that there is some price correction, but it's not enough to actually drop the price for, you know, any more than 24 hours without it continuing to go up. It's been on a, you know, uptrend for the past few weeks now. You know, altcoin season is among us. We're about, I want to say halfway through the year now. We're going into August. You know, the halvening was, what was it? March, May, I think, right? Was it May, March? I don't remember. It was just the other day, but we're getting closer to that, you know, 1 year mark where technically we may or may not see Bitcoin take off and hit higher numbers or record numbers. We don't know yet. We can only speculate. And then naturally most of the altcoins follow. So I feel like, you know, possibly there could be a price correction soon, but if Chainlink continues to be staked, like you mentioned, and Tezos has been up too. Tezos, I think, is almost at $3 now. You know, possibly there really see it coming crashing down anytime soon. I want to say. I think that we're on a steady uptrend. I think it's a steady uptrend. I don't even think that it's ridiculous, because I mean I've seen there's been coins that have been up, you know, 1,000%. Those have obviously snapped back and, you know, have adjusted. They were probably pump and dumps for the most part, but you know, I don't think that. I think we're at a steady pace right now. I think we're okay. I don't see this crashing down.
So, Annalise, with that being stated, you and I are on the same level. In fact, I don't even think that it's ultimately ridiculous. That it's not. Bitcoin dominance is actually have been up, you know,
1,000%. Those like have obviously snapped back. And
interesting to watch the fact that people are fleeing Bitcoin into these altcoins, and the market cap of the entire asset class is actually still just going sideways.
I think we're at a steady pace.
Do you think that this is a realization that Bitcoin is somewhat obsolete and that Ethereum?
So, Annalise, with that being stated, you and I are
might actually in fact, I think experiencing a bit of funding.
Ultimately,
and also to add to that
Bitcoin
question,
dominance is actually going down.
When do you think that we'll see some capital flight from the traditional sector, which has been getting trillions of dollars per day? Wall Street's been getting tons and tons of stimulus into this asset class. And the market cap of the entire asset class is actually still just going sideways.
Ethereum,
do you think that this is a realization that Bitcoin is somewhat obsolete and that Ethereum
there are people who
decentralized applications might actually be experiencing a bit of funding? And also to add to that question,
it's a little hard to really
when do you think that we'll see some capital flight
that
from
you
the
would want
traditional
to see
sector, which has
on
been getting
Bitcoin,
trillions of dollars
especially if
per
you're
day?
newer and you're
Wall Street's
getting
been getting tons and tons of stimulus.
Like that guy was up here saying, like it took a while for him to break even and eventually make a profit. Today an article I was saying that Ethereum, but mostly because he didn't trade and he didn't sell during that, the last. And like you said, there are people who are starting to realize that. And the main reason why is because it's a little hard to really make. They don't actually want to spend their Bitcoin. They don't actually want to use their Bitcoin on Bitcoin, especially if you're newer and you're getting in the king of the hill. And like that guy was up here saying, a lot of people see it. Like it took a while for him to break even and eventually make a profit. I feel like people jump on, Bitcoin mostly because the whales trade and you didn't afford to buy during that, the last peak that Bitcoin happened a few years ago. But for Bitcoin is king of the hill, and they're starting off. A lot of people see it as a store of value, but money. Not they don't actually want to spend their Bitcoin. They don't actually want to use their tech and money. They'd rather keep Bitcoin. And the problem with that that I've been getting from like crypto Twitter and like other online platforms is a lot of people who are coming in new, they want to invest. I feel like people jump on to Bitcoin and the whales that and a lot of them large amounts don't have necessarily the money to buy a Bitcoin. Will take a temporary run Bitcoin, but they do have the money to get in hopes of making coins over Bitcoin, and a lot of them, and that's the main reason why. Necessarily the money to buy not because of the tech, not because of the company behind Bitcoin, literally they do have the money to let's say buy a million Doge, and if Bitcoin could be knocked off $1, then they just made from king of the hill, and may just be considered just for value that people collect over time, and maybe because it's a collectible, really make a difference, and they really stand out drive up the value. But they when people see that they're making the gains that they are making a leap. There's a lot of people who prefer adoptability more. There's less and less maximalist every day. I feel like, and it's that's the main reason why not because of the tech, not because of the company behind it. Make even if you do buy $10 of Bitcoin every day, or do some easing, it's not as much as you would get with any other altcoin that's out there. So
for sure, I completely agree. Honestly, I think that most people in the space don't understand what programmable money means just yet. And the few that do realize, I'm amongst them, and they actually understand what the real platforms are, where you should be, involved, and what NFTs are, and how to actually take and stake and pretty much get better returns than you could at a bank easily, without any of the counterparty risks of a bank run or asset forfeiture. It's literally money honestly just the greatest thing to happen to humanity in our time. Here's a hot take. What about amongst them and what Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink? What the real platforms are? Have you guys read about what's coming soon next month? They're supposed to be disclosing a lot of awesome information.
So I saw the article very briefly. I think the thing that I read that I looked into the most was something I saw last week regarding the ability for Neuralink to help with things like depression and mood swings and chemical imbalances in the brain. That's something that I found most interesting regarding Neuralink and the announcements that they're going to make. Just because there are a lot of people who deal with depression and they'd rather not because it's not particularly fun. I know Jerome was telling a little more to me about it. Jerome, what's your input on that?
I had to jump in there, so thanks for go ahead and giving me the leeway. But that's something that I think is definitely gonna advance our abilities with both just mental cognitive what we can understand from people's brain and how it works, how it functions. I can see where blockchain will be able to integrate with that technology in some way, shape, or form. As of right now, I'm not 100% certain. It's still all just, hypotheses as to what we could do with this technology. But I do think that trying to, aim for what Elon Musk talked about, helping people with certain disorders right now is going to be the best way to start with that tech, creating a use case for it and then building other, capabilities afterwards. What do you think could be an out of this new technology?
I would like to see the ability to use our thoughts in sync with the cloud. Literally setting reminders, memos, maybe even sharing memories directly from our brain to a central unit. That way, we don't have to worry about, forgetting about crucial things that happened in your lifetime. Because there's a lot of people that experience Alzheimer's,
Do you think Alzheimer's and dementia will become obsolete?
Yeah, definitely. You know?
I think it's a possibility, and I think that there's a way that you could be able to, like you said, set a reminder, do all these different things, enter having the connectivity with other things. I think that it would be great to have that, let's say, connected to a blockchain, or it's interoperable, being able to exchange information,
forgetting about
and being able to keep track of the
crucial things that happen
data
in your
all on,
lifetime, because there's a lot of people that
blockchain or
experience
some database
Alzheimer's,
that is
you know.
just
Do you think
centralized to Neuralink or whatever
Alzheimer's and
platform,
dementia will become
has that data.
obsolete?
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. You know?
I think it's
So,
a possibility, and I
the thing
think
is,
that,
a lot of these
there's
illnesses and diseases that are caused to the brain or cause trauma are due to lack of oxygen to your brain. Now, when you think of Neuralink, it's supposed to help like depression, chemical imbalances, things like that. But when it comes to like major chronic illnesses, how would it combat you as a person who's aging, lacking, getting body? That would be that's the question, right? Because it's not that you is and you just have horrible memory, and that's what Alzheimer's is. It's literally your brain degenerating. So if your brain is degenerating, will this technology still work? Will it like if your brain's dead, comprehend questions that I feel like need to be answered before we really know whether it will in fact null out things like dementia or Alzheimer's, because it's a little tricky if you're going brain dead. You know what I mean? Like that is you. So I don't know. Like, do we have the capacity of replacing the brain, which is literally telling your body how to operate? Like this technology. I don't know. Like, do we have the
Well, apparently Elon Musk came out during a press conference in I believe it was 2018. He stated that it's been done by a chimp and a lab rat. So we will see what they disclose later on in next month, which is honestly probably going to be cutting edge, something because he's been waiting to announce this for a while now. I'm excited to see what the future holds for the gentleman. Like, he's honestly definitely on the bleeding edge of technology when it comes down to integrating Bluetooth 2.4 gigahertz frequencies as a brain interface to your computer, which I think is honestly like the next step to be becoming one symbiotically with AI. And as we know it now, like AI is currently being researched by the DoD and deployed as a weapon right now. So we'll see what happens, what comes of this. Yeah, exactly. Amazon won a big contract from the DoD to build an AI supercomputer on the basis of Homeland Security. So we shall see what all this means.
I didn't know that one. That one's interesting. I didn't know that they were building an AI. Did you have something you wanted to say?
But he's muted.
Thumbs up.
Oh, okay. So the thing with where your brain deteriorates, if Neuralink would still work, do you guys think that in the future, you can just put your brain in an artificial body, and then
that's exactly what
I think.
Like Futurama.
Yeah. It's kind of like I think it's not going to be your brain, physical brain. It's going to be like having a data stack, like an arm chip. Yeah, it's like having like an arm chip. Yeah, I think that's.
I think let's say not the Neuralink 1, but let's say like the Neuralink 10 or 15 is going to get to the point where it's going to be able to read your entire brain, download all of the data, and be able to upload that to a server. And some people will say, well, that's not you. Some people will say it's a clone of your conscience. Whatever you want to say, it's still going to be your brain, your memories, your electric activity will be able to upload to a server and transfer some of that information to other people. I think that's fascinating, as well as if you can upload it to a server, you should be able to upload it to a robot and literally put yourself into another body.
I don't believe in having server access points like that for that kind of sensitive data. I think that it should all be decentralized I think it should all be stored on
I
DAGs
agree.
and literally kept private, because of course that allows evil geniuses to sort of mangle people's identities and access to specific genetics. But outside of that realm, I think for the most part that like having the ability to connect to the internet is already happening right now. When people upload videos of them ranting without showing their face, just their thoughts, like that's pretty much them being a biological bootloader to a botnet, if you really think about it. So
I guess you
really,
could say it that way.
I'm literally kind of on the fence about how I feel about it, honestly, because Google is pretty much storing all this data centrally, and they're mimicking and making shadow. Facebook is making shadow accounts. I'm not sure if Google is doing it, but they don't have the best practices of privacy either, on the basis of this. But imagine like decentralized tech giants doing this for people's entire livelihoods, and then having robots walking around in society too. More like literally, let's be real here. The Spot Mini just came out not too long ago, and that's kind of available for consumers if you can afford the price tag, of course. I think it's somewhere between 20 grand to 50 grand for a little robot pet dog. Who's to say that they're not working on a robot human right now?
That little
like,
pet dog
a
is like, is
yeah.
how much? How much is that little dog?
It's like 20 grand, but it's upgradable to be like 50 grand.
The little one that like walks around and
the
barks
Spot
and you
Mini.
play with
Yeah.
it? That's
the Spot
crazy.
Mini doesn't. I don't know. The Spot Mini doesn't bark. I don't think it barks, but it has like a microphone, a speaker on it, and whatnot. So, and you can even tap into it, and it has a camera that you can see through the controller, and the controller looks just like a console, a video game console controller. So yeah, who's to say that that same company isn't working on a human cyborg or a human robot that could pretty much replace humanity as we speak? So yeah.
I mean, don't they have what's the full body one called? Spot is the dog version, but the full body one, I forget the name of it. I can easily see where 3, 4, 5 iterations from now, it's going to be able to replicate a human and or upload your consciousness to it. So who knows? I agree with you. It should definitely be decentralized. We should have more access to that data. I'm hoping as we pass more laws that we'll get to that point where we have more control of that data, and if we need to give access to certain data, we could be able to just send that file to whoever we need to, or whatever platform that needs it temporarily, as well as pulling it back. That's one of the things that I think is most important with blockchain technology integrating with private security, private information, being able to not just provide it, but being able to provide the data temporarily. If you give your doctor your files, they have it. You don't have your files; they always have it. Whereas with blockchain technology, you can release it to that doctor temporarily, and then if you switch to another doctor, pull that data back from them, and they no longer have access to it. I think that's going to be crucial for privacy when it comes to that point.
Talking of laws, I'd like to touch base on the LAED laws once again, which is pretty much breaking my faith in humanity currently. The idea of breaking encryption, including all blockchains right now, is pretty much still in limbo in Wall Street, on Capitol Hill. So definitely tell your friends to hit up the representatives and let them know that encryption must stay. Encryption must reside. No government mandated backdoors. That's not cool. It's not a good idea. We got to protect our water supply. We got to protect our personal lives. We got to protect Social Security. We have to protect children. We have to protect society as a whole, and we have to protect the robots. Robots deserve encryption. Humans deserve encryption.
So, how far along is that bill now? Because last time I checked, it was going up to Congress. Is it still going up to Congress? Have people, gotten off of it? Like, what's the deal with the bill?
It's on the floor. It hasn't passed yet. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Still
I know that they're in recess right now. But if you guys don't know about the LEAD or the Earn It Act, I encourage you to look it up. basically, in a nutshell, what it is it's telling the government is telling companies that if they can't hack it, you can't have it. So going forward, the Earn It Act basically eliminates certain encryptions. If you guys remember back when there was a suicide bomber in the Air Force that had killed, 3 cadets. He was, I think, in Maryland or Florida, some state. But he basically had an iPhone, an Apple iPhone, and the government went to Apple and told him to open it, and Apple said no. And because of that, this is kind of why this happened. In addition to, I'm sure everyone knows about Epstein, and what happened, and all the sexual misconduct and child trafficking. That's also something that derived from this bill and caused it to happen. They basically are trying, quote unquote, to help track child or people, human traffickers, and protect the children from this ever happening again. So initially, they technically need a warrant to get all this information from the company. But if you read the bill, there's certain parts where they can do things like tap and trace, where they can tap into your devices without having a warrant if they use a non-disclosure agreement. They also want backdoors for quote unquote foreign intelligence, which if they have a backdoor to the app, that means they have a backdoor to everyone. They have access to everyone, which is where it's concerning. And then regarding devices themselves, anything that's over a gigabyte, like a phone or a computer, it needs to be like not hack proof, but like it needs to be hackable by government entities, basically. So they need to reduce the encryption that is currently on your phones or computers going forward. So, if you know anything about privacy and security, obviously that's not good, because if the government can hack it, then that means anyone can hack it, because people are people. Essentially, the hackers are people. So, it's not. In a sense, you can say that it would help them, but it also puts millions of people at risk from getting hacked and manipulated. Chances are they're not going to actually catch more sexual predators and or traffickers, only because, I mean, if you're putting this out in the news, and people who are doing this, they sell humans for a lot of money, upwards of $100,000. I'm pretty sure they have the tech and the money to evade and avoid things like this. You got your small guys who are from other countries like India, but Epstein was rich. He had his own island. He did this for a living, and I just really don't believe that if they do this, it's going to help. It's just going to put a lot of people at risk. So learn about it and do some research on it. I think I'm going to start a petition against it, because I really do think that it's not something that we should have. You have a question?
On the basis of like the hacking and not the government, if they can't hack it, you can have it. Say
right.
Neuralink, if it's connected right to your brain, it's connected to your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say what if someone hacks that and then they're sending signals into your brain, like because will it ever get approved by the government?
So that's one of the things that I like that Elon Musk talks about with it. It's not a two-way communication device. It's a one-way communication device. So Neuralink will only take data. It won't send data. There's not a way to send data to your brain through the Neuralink. It's just a probe that's inserted to your brain that's just taking the electric data. So as your brain's just filled with a lot of electricity. All of those electric bolts, let's call them, the probes in your brain is just detecting those, where they are and what they're how far they're going, and it's measuring that data. So you can train things like thinking, call mom, call mom, call mom. If you think of that 10 times, it'll be able to see the pattern in your brain every time you want to call mom, every time you sing the alphabet, all the different things that you program it to do. It'll be able to see how your brain reacts to the command that you're trying to tell it to do. And then it's just studying that pattern to be able to allow you to be able to do things with your brain. And it's going to be a great way to study your brain, but end point, it's not a way to communicate with your brain, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Well, at least it does it. You can't do that. That's a safe part, at least. That's cool. I didn't know that it was a
Yeah.
one-way communication.
I like that. Hey, that way, there's no like up bandwidth at all. Like that's amazing. Honestly, it's like a one-way highway. It's the super highway from you're down, like pretty much.
Yeah, so on that point, let's go ahead and talk about some of the different events that are coming up, letting you guys know. Thank you guys for joining us today. It's been a great podcast. We do this every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Also, come check out on Mondays when we do VR Crypto Mondays. Annalise, who do we have up for next week Monday's speaker?
Next week's speaker is going to be Qdom. They are a blockchain company, and they will be speaking. I think John will be with us, one of the heads at the company. So that's going to be fun, and that's going to be next week at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So every Monday, Crypto Mondays VR, we have it here in Altspace. So you guys can come through. And I believe tomorrow we do a lot of gaming stuff. So tomorrow is a Story Game Wednesday. That will be in our main room. And then Friday is going to be VR game night. That's when we do gaming. And then Saturdays at noon, we do gaming meetups and tech meetups where we kind of just have fireside chats about tech.
This has been Patrick, Jerome, Elise, and Brian with Blockchain Universe and Block Decentral and Bits and Tokens. Have a good one, all right, guys? It's a wrap.